Holy smokes, it's been a little while. Welcome back. This is Bryce with Small Cap Recap. Glad to be back. It's been a while. Unfortunately, I got sick beginning of December and was out of commission for about 2 weeks. And then fortunately I was good enough to go home, and I made it home and I wasn't sick anymore. But spent those few weeks with my family, and it's been great. I just got back to Austin a couple days ago, and I'm back full time in the station, meaning I'm good to start making some more small cap recaps. So back here on Monday, Wednesdays, and maybe Fridays. We'll see though. Anyways, without further ado, well, actually, before we get into the video, if you are excited that I'm back here for Small Cap Recap, drop a thumbs up, leave a comment down below how much you missed me and how your holidays were. Now let's get on into the video. Alrighty, so a few ones I want to go over today. Really nice movers across the board. Kala was, hold on, give me a second. Let's go just the past few days here. Okay, so KALA yesterday had what I called a failed first red day in the steady trade team when I was giving my webinar there. This was its first red day. In fact, I'll even give a 5-day chart here. Here we go. So we had this monstrous run up, and this was the first red day. Gap down and couldn't go anywhere. And then it looked like it might actually be over. We broke a key level of support right here, just barely, ever so slightly, by just a few cents. Instantly recovered up from a chat pump, and then reconsolidated for about an hour at this same level of consolidation that it had done all day yesterday on its failed first red day. And right after that, it absolutely skyrocketed when it broke that consolidation. Now, unfortunately, I actually wanted it to consolidate for a little bit longer than it did. I was hoping for a little bit more into the afternoon, but it went anyways. I was not in front of my computer. I did get a couple scalps in up here, but nothing crazy. I didn't want to push my luck or anything, or push the boundaries, I should say. I mean, we were at so many levels of key resistance areas that, I was actually a little worried this is going to end up being a failed breakout here, which is probably what ended up sending another $10 a share. I'm sure a few short sellers thought the same thing, but did get a couple scalps off in here. Now, fortunately, I actually think I have found a very similar setup to KALA in a few ways, as you'll probably find by the title of this video. JSPR, now I say I found this as if no one else has seen this before. No, JSPR, really very similar structure. The only thing I don't like about it is how halty it was, yesterday. However, we have that very, very similar setup in the fact where it had a monstrous run. Now, it was a one-day run, and about half of it happened pre-market. What matters is that it held up so well. It was a halt fest, which I don't love because that implies it could be another halt fest tomorrow if this tries to work, and those just get really tough to trade. But ideally, here's what I find very interesting. I'm giving a very kind of in-depth breakdown of this. So what I want to show you is, let's go on over to a 15-minute chart here on JSPR, okay? Now, as we all know, volume is very important in the, volume is very important for any run to work. We like to see a lot of volume. We like to see a lot of meaningful volume. And one thing that I always like to look for is, where does that volume come in? Now, if you've watched these before, you know I love my 15-minute charts and I'm breaking down a multi-day time frame. However, one thing that I really struck my eye when I was looking at this is that it looked a lot more natural. It looked a lot more organic on the 15-minute chart because it wasn't interrupted by so many 5 to 10-minute halts. Instead, what we got to see is a more clear breakdown and understanding of where the volume came in yesterday. And what we saw here is that on this very candle at, 10:06 Central apparently, or 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock Central on a 15-minute candle, we see the most volume it traded the entire day. And it was red. The candle finished red. What this implies to me is that we actually likely got a lot of short sellers who saw this as an opportunity. All right, this is up way too much. It's halting down. I want to get in on this action, short it from the 180s back down to 80 cents, get hopefully a nice gain on that. And what we ended up seeing from there is another rejection candle. It tried and then re-rejected, likely with more halts. And then we saw this recovery on a decent amount of volume, right? But what really then, struck me as interesting is that when it broke the new high of day, it made a new high of day, after so much volume coming in down here, is when it re-broke to a new high of day. It did it on very little volume. In fact, some of the lowest amount of volume it had traded the entire day. it traded up into this candle right here. Actually, I think that was the second or third lowest volume candle the entire day on the 15-minute time frame was when it broke to the upside. What does that imply to me? It implies to me that majority of shorts are in that did not get out on that candle. They likely didn't stop. In fact, they probably, and again, this is all under the assumption that this candle was a lot more shorts than it was longs. And from there, we continued to just see steady walk-ups. And you have to remember, part of the reason that this happened on this candle when it had such low volume is because when it broke to a new high a day, it instantly halted, meaning people did not have the ability to get out. However, they did have the ability to get out on this candle. They had some time, and they still didn't. Right? I mean, it only quote-unquote traded 2 million shares in that 15-minute time frame. Again, a lot, in part because of halts. This candle, though, traded 6.5 million shares as it was falling down, and we never really saw a candle where we had a true level of exhaustion. Instead, we had what very similarly to KALA was a big dump candle out of the open with a lot of volume, about 2.5 million shares this morning, and then really steady consolidation. One thing I find very interesting is our low of day, what do you know, happened to be at a very, no, it wasn't right, there we go. This candle right here is the high of where all that volume came in on that 15-minute candle. Look where it based. Eerily. I've been watching too many crime mysteries or crime documentaries and stuff like that on YouTube. Eerily. Hey guys, cut that out if you're watching. I'm kidding. No, funny enough, oddly enough, where it bottomed out today was at that same exact level, because as we know, areas of high volume tend to be the most important levels of support and resistance. I just kind of saw this while I was looking through and thought it was interesting. But very similarly today, it did finish down about 25%. However, it didn't. This is not a successful first red day. This should have bled out if it was going to do what it was going to do. And this is still a low float stock, remember. This is like 20 million share float, slightly under. Wow, I'm talking really fast. I've had like 20 cups of coffee today. Not really, but I have had about 5. And 3 of them came in the last 20 minutes, so that explains it. This is going to be my top watch tomorrow. Not a doubt in my mind, this will be my top watch. Now, the reason I like that is because, again, very similar to this structure here on this failed first red day, tomorrow will also be the third day surge, much as it was for KALA, as you'll see right here. An ugly one, but we had breakout, consolidation, re-breakout. Well, what do we have here? Breakout, red day, that consolidation, that failed first red day, still holding very key levels. And by the way, something that's very important to note in my opinion is that both daily VWAPs are around 235 and about 230 respectively. 235 from the first day of the run, 230 from today, meaning anything over this 230 level should be extremely bullish for JSPR, especially considering that this stock is still very much front side, in my opinion. Low float, front side has not been an offering yet. An offering would ruin this, right? But we've got positive news from day one, and it's still holding up. So anyways, long story short, JSPR is my top watch tomorrow. I do not currently have a position. I don't know if I'll take a position. It needs to set up well. But this is definitely my top watch for tomorrow. I think it has potential. If we can get a clean breakout, there's no reason this can't run to around $5. Now, if the market continues to stay hot, today it did die off a little bit, but we're seeing some promising action going into tomorrow already, which I'll get into in just a moment here. If that market kind of gets hot again tomorrow, I really, really like this for a potential third day surge and continuation of 5+. 5 would be, if this actually worked to the extent I think it can, that would be definitely the lower end of what's possible. EFTR, really bizarre one here as it's consolidating a lot in after hours. So it didn't have any news. No news came out today. Had a really interesting spike here. It's a biotech company. Specifically this must not be the same one I was looking at. Never mind. Well, never mind. Scratch what I was about to say there. No news, gap up, faded back off, and then re-popped back up. And I don't like that it's doing this on no news, but clearly there is something going on, and we have really beautiful after-hours consolidation structure. If it doesn't just break through and absolutely rip, I would be watching this tomorrow, seeing if, it's up 81% today on no news. Did have a slight gap. Well, actually, it didn't even really hold the gap. It opened up at yesterday's levels. But then it just continued to walk its way up throughout the day, holding very nice structure all along the way, despite its low volume. Definitely one I want to keep an eye on tomorrow. VYNT had news after hours to explore strategic alternatives. Nice. Spiked up. Sorry. Wow. I'm not sick. I promise. I'm like talking too fast. Really big spike here. It was up over 150% at one point, up about 130% after hours on very, very weak news. Doubtful that this turns into anything, but again, it's a very low float stock. And this, just given the way the market's been, could definitely turn into something moving forward, especially tomorrow. CRKN, unfortunately, this is why I said, we didn't have nearly as hot of a market today. Gapped up hundreds of percent, right? Like 500%, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I didn't see the exact top. I don't feel like doing the math. But had that push. I actually tried this for a dip and rip out of the open. Didn't get anything out of it. Cut for a small loss. And then just continued to fade back down. Still up 60% of the day, but gave away most of its gains. I know there's a stock I'm missing in here. I know that for a fact. And I'm sorry. I can't remember it. Sorry, there it is. BVOS, similar story, right? We did get a few halts, but then a very weak close. So this did open up pretty strong. We did have a nice push to 3, but it just wasn't as strong as JSPR was from the day before, in my opinion. And it actually kind of was from the intraday perspective. It just didn't have as much of that allure. I mean, JSPR was up a few hundred, like 600%, VVOS didn't have that same allure. It wasn't up as much. Yeah, it's still 124%, but when you had a stock up 600%, they had very similar even then though, JSPR or VVOS opened up at about $1.90, meaning it would have needed to go to about 4 for that 100% move, whereas JSPR had a little bit over 100% move intraday, but did a lot of its run in the morning. Whereas, this wasn't necessarily the same story. It had about 50% worth of range intraday, which is still great. Don't get me wrong. Still great, but just not as strong as JSPR. It didn't show me that same sign of life. So I think if JSPR, if we can just keep some more momentum going into tomorrow, and that's the reason I say I'm seeing some good news, EFTR, VYNT, JAN as well. Now, JAN not up nearly as much, but it did run from $1.50 to $2.30. Definitely have some potential. I like seeing these after hours gappers. I think we will see a lot of potential though if we get another round of gappers tomorrow morning. I think that's best case scenario for JSPR. I also think best case scenario for JSPR would be to do it similarly to KALA, where the slight dip out of the open actually, maybe even a slight break of yesterday's low day before a reclaim. But that almost seems a little bit too obvious in my eyes. So we'll see how it opens, and again, depending on how it opens is going to really just depend on how I personally play it. But that's my breakdown of today. Hopefully I gave you an absolute banger for making you wait so long, but unfortunately the market ended up heating up while I was gone, and unfortunately I did not trade much of that because I was spending time with my family. Just wasn't really in the mental space. I was out doing things all day, and I know I would have been trading from my phone or bringing my laptop, taking really emotional trades. So that's one thing that I've learned to deal with, is that if I've already got things planned, Christmas time, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to trade. I'm going to take it off. Fortunately, I'm back on the track, running laps. Not really. I actually put on some holiday weight. Let me know down in the comments below if you put on some holiday weight yourself. Speaking of which, I'm about to go make some dinner. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you back here. Today's Wednesday. I do have plans on Friday. I might make an early recap. Well, we'll see what the market ends up doing. But I've got to leave around noon on Friday. So maybe I'll make an early one if there were some good morning movers, and I'll just miss the afternoon ones. But guys, make sure your post notifications are on. Make sure you're subscribed. And let me know down in the comments one more time if you're happy to see me back. It's been so long. I need to stop. I need to chill on the coffee. I don't even know how I'm hungry right now after all this. But thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you back here on Friday for like a half-day recap, and then back on Monday for your normally scheduled programs. See you then. Peace. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for being a part of the StocksToTrade family. We just hit 100,000 subscribers, but our goal by the end of this year is to get 150,000 new family members a part of our channel. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and maybe even turn on your post notifications. We cannot do this without your guys' support. So thank you so much. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment down below. We'll see you in the next video.